In our last video, we talked about the purpose of your cover letter. Let's take a look at different templates and formats to get started. As you get started, a really helpful tool is on Handshake under Resources, and that's our cover letter writing guide. This guide has step-by-step instructions as well as a template to help you write your perfect letter. Again, some basic common things are you want to keep this to a page. You also want to keep normal font and margins. Don't adjust these things to fit your letter. You also want to use block format. This is very common practice and is the way you should be writing your letter. Again, you want it to be clear and concise and keep it to 3 and 5 paragraphs. You want your writing to flow and be easy on the reader. You don't want someone getting caught up and having to reread, otherwise they may just go to the next letter. Additionally, there are some common pitfalls that you might want to avoid. And lastly, before we look at the template, you want to make sure that you're finalizing this letter and saving it as a PDF. Always write it in Word, but always save it as a PDF. I also recommend using actual Word. Google Docs are great, but sometimes they have formatting flaws that make it hard when you're translating this to a PDF. As I mentioned earlier, many recruiters and individuals have their idea of what makes the perfect cover letter. In this template, you can see that there is a header as well as a full date, address, and 2-line. This is something that each individual has to decide how they want to format. While this is a more formal version and is perfectly acceptable, you may not want to have a header. You may not want to have the full address. If you choose to just have a date and the 2-line, that is also acceptable. If you do choose to have a header, I would highly encourage you to make sure this is this exact same as the one on your resume, as you'll want it to be consistent throughout the process. In terms of formatting, again, you see that this is in block format, meaning all the writing is left aligned and there are gaps between each paragraph. The last piece here is you definitely want to have a signature. Adding a personal signature is always a nice touch. There are a couple ways to do this. If you're submitting a bunch of letters, one easy way to do this is to take a picture of your signature on a white sheet of paper and save it as a JPEG. You will want to make sure that it blends perfectly with the Word document. Otherwise, you may want to just draw your name using an app. The other thing you can do is you can also print your letter, physically sign it, and scan it as a PDF. I believe that the best way to do this is the first option, as long as you can find a way to make sure that the background is clear and that your signature blends perfectly in with the document. Now that we've talked about the purpose of your cover letter and discussed different formats and templates to utilize, let's take a look at the content. Check this out in our next video.